Welcome to the Good Vibes Club, a normal girl's guide to living your best life and being the best version of yourself. Whether you're listening on your commute, out on a hot girl walk, or curled up on your sofa, open your mind and get ready to feel those good vibes. I am so excited to be saying that and actually having the microphone on record. I've been walking around my house just doing little mock episodes, I guess you could say, to myself. I must sound like an absolute weirdo if my neighbours could hear me, but I just walk around talking as if I'm doing the podcast just to try and get myself in that swing of chatting to a microphone and really getting to grips with what I'm going to say, because I've wanted to do this podcast for such a long time and I've tried to refine down as much as possible and really focus on what it is that I want to share with you. And I just wanted to wait for the perfect timing, which I have a bit of a love-hate with perfect timing, because I think there's never the right time or the perfect time to do something, but you get that time when you feel called and you just feel like you need to do it right then and there. And that's kind of what happened with this podcast. So the 10th of January, very specific, but I remember it well, I just felt the need to buy a microphone, and I went online and I researched and I bought my microphone. Then I had a mild panic about how on earth you even do a podcast, because in my head I was like, well, everyone does podcasts, it can't be that hard. I just need to buy a microphone, I'll set it up, I just record, and there you go, Bob's your uncle, we've done a podcast. But it's definitely not that easy. It's a minefield compared to the world I'm used to, where I've been doing YouTube for so long and Instagram, and I know how to do all that kind of content, but it's very different sitting in front of a microphone. Although I was chatting to James, my partner, the other day, and just explaining that I wanted to do this podcast, and he turned around to me and just kind of sighed and was like, oh, Jess, I don't know why it's taken you this long, because for someone who likes to talk as much as you do, I don't know why you haven't already got one. And that was my decider to say, do you know what? I think you're right. And I like to think of myself as being the life coach of my friends, should we say. So I love just giving my friends advice and helping them out and trying to find solutions and offering the chocolate bars or the tissues or, the good vibes, depending what they need for whatever situation they have. And I think I'm quite a good advice giver. I like to think of myself as being a really supportive friend, and it's something I pride myself on. So I'm hoping that this podcast can kind of be like your internet bestie, your way to get a little bit of a good vibe every week and just feel like you've caught up with a friend and just had that little dose of inspiration to get you through the next week. And if you're having a hard time, hopefully it helps. If you're in a bit of a rut with your mindset on creativity or something, I just really want this podcast to be super inspiring to you and just to give you a little bit of a kick up the bum every Wednesday to just get back into the mindset of living your best life. Because I think when you are a positive person, which I like to think that I am, and I think a lot of people are, it's just much easier to be negative. And sometimes we get so into the grit of feeling a bit negative and it's really hard to bring yourself back. So hopefully these podcasts can help you. I'm going to be popping them up every Wednesday, so you get that little dose of inspiration. But I just wanted to kind of take this episode to talk to you about what the Good Vibes Club is going to be about, share with you the segments that I'm going to break down every week, and give you a few fail-safe ways that I bring good vibes to my week every week. Because I think knowledge is something that should be shared, especially when it's about living your best life and being your best self, because that's something we all should strive to be. We are on this planet for such a short amount of time, and I think we should all strive to have the best time ever. Say yes to all the adventures, go on all the trips, do all the things. Don't live your life with regret. Just live your life saying yes and making those memories and just having the best time. Obviously, it goes without saying that sometimes we're negative. Everyone is, but just giving you a little bit of inspiration. So, as I said in the intro, this is going to be a normal girl's guide to living your best life. We're going to be discussing realistic ways to help you be your best self through tried and tested practices and through guests that I'm going to be getting on. So if you have any people that you'd love to hear from, let me know. All of my friends are very down to be on the podcast, but I'm sure that we could get some other people on too. I also want to talk about things like achieving wellness and mindfulness, but in a very realistic and easy to digest way, because I don't know about you guys, but I find the term wellness and mindfulness as well actually really scary. I think they are big terms and there is so much under those umbrellas, and I don't know if anyone else thinks the same, but I hear wellness and mindfulness and I think of Goop and Gwyneth Paltrow and her kooky ways that she does everything, and I don't think it has to be like that, and I don't think it needs to be that extreme, but I do think there's simple little ways that we can add those little touches of mindfulness and wellness and just looking after ourselves and our bodies every single day in bite-sized little chunks. And I think those little habits, like forming, for example, a habit of writing in your gratitude journal every morning, those things become mindful and wellness tasks. And I think having those habits, like, for example, you could find that you really get mental clarity from having a bath every week, or going on a walk on your lunch break for 10 minutes, just even if it's round the block or something. So building up those little habits that help you to live a more mindful life and overall a happier life. Which kind of leads into like the manifestation and law of attraction side of things that I'm going to bring in, and just overall how to get those good vibes into your life and how to be your best, most positive, most amazing self, because we are all so capable of being the best version of ourselves if we just have a little prompt every now and then. So hopefully this podcast is going to be something you can listen to on your commute or on a walk, or, you know, just in the car or in the gym, because I actually listen to podcasts a lot in the gym, which sounds like a strange place to listen, but for some reason, if I am lifting weights, I like just being a little bit, not distracted, because I think you still need to be in that movement, but I think it's just nice to have someone chatting and almost subconsciously taking in that information while also paying a bit of attention too. So wherever you listen, hopefully this will be something you can listen to weekly, and I really hope you're going to enjoy it. Like, I am so nervous because I just really want to give the best that I can. But on that note, every week we're going to have a few different segments, and the first is going to be the good vibe of the week, which you may have noticed I've started to slip onto my Instagram. So every Friday at the moment, but I think I might move it to time with the podcast, I put a little question box up and I share my good vibes of the week, and I ask you guys what your good vibes of the week are. And that could be something like seeing a beautiful sunset, or how nice the morning frost looks, or getting a really good cup of coffee, because let me tell you, Starbucks sometimes can be a bit crap, but then every now and then you get that really delicious cup of coffee that's so beautifully made, and it just makes your taste buds sing. So little things like that, or, you know, a big thing, maybe you bought a house that week, maybe you got a new relationship, maybe you had a baby, like whatever it is, it's your good vibe of the week. I share that on my stories, and we can have a little chat and like share the good vibes around and make everyone feel more inspired. So that's also going to be something we do on this podcast, and we're going to share a good vibe every single week. So let's start off with a bang, shall we? And say that my good vibe of this week is sitting down in front of this microphone and starting this damn podcast that I've been meaning to start for the best part of a year, and just feeling the most inspired I've ever felt in my entire life, despite it being January. Because January is a blue month, but I'm feeling very positive and very inspired and very ready to take on the world. And that's my good vibe of the week. So let's get on with the podcast. So this episode, I thought I would share a few ways that I bring some good vibes to my life. And these are daily things that I do that are my fail-safe way to make sure that I have a good day, a good week, a good year, and just try and keep my positive mindset as much as I can. But I'll be honest, doesn't happen every time. There are days when I feel really deflated, or I'm in a really bad mental health space, and that's totally okay. But these are different things that I do that are part of my habits and my routine that just really try and keep me on track. So even if I feel like my world is falling apart, if I try and stick to this little list of things, it helps to just keep me ticking over. And I guess it's kind of like a routine now. I'm a bit of a sucker for routine, weirdly. As much as I am an absolute free spirit, spontaneous travel bird, I also just really like routine, and I find it difficult to be out of that routine, which doesn't really go hand in hand. I'm in like two conflicting personalities. You'd think I'm a Gemini. I'm not. I'm a Cancer. But I just have these two kind of conflicting parts of me where I want the routine and the mindful, like everyday mundane things that keep me ticking over. But I also want that spontaneous adventure. It's a constant battle. We're still yet to conquer the whole thing. But I guess I better share with you the list. So the first thing that I do every single day without fail, sometimes I skip it and I do it in the evening, but I do my gratitude list every morning. And if you have ever read The Magic or The Secret, you know that this is a vital part of manifestation. And I also find it to just be a really good tool to use to bring you into the present day and kind of make you appreciate everything in that day a little bit more. And I do have to say, I find that when I've done these in the morning, I do notice more about my day that's really tiny things that make me smile, like a sunset or a coffee. But if I miss them entirely, I do definitely notice a change in my mindset, which is bizarre because I never thought it would have that much impact. But if I look back over the last, say 4 years of my life, the times when things were going the best and the times where I was achieving my goals and feeling my happiest were the times when I was writing those lists every single morning. So You can definitely pick how many you write. I personally write 10 if I can, but I do at least 4. So some people prefer doing 3, some like doing 10. It's completely personal preference. Sometimes I think it's nice just to sit down and just allow your thoughts to flow and just write whatever you think of and whatever comes to mind. So sometimes you may only get 2 things down because you're not feeling the best. And then I would say, we'll go on to this in another podcast episode, but kind of focus on the other things like being grateful for your breath and your clean water, or your body for getting you round, and your mind and all these things. But I try and aim for 10, and 10 is a good way to do the really essential things. So you're like being grateful for your family and friends and all that kind of stuff. Me and my friend Jay actually have a running joke because we always say that we're grateful for our boyfriends, her husband, because it's just a nice thing to appreciate someone and to really like express the gratitude for the value of that relationship in your life. And we also do them drunk sometimes, and then we'll call each other and laugh. Like I did one recently. It was on Christmas Eve actually. I'd been with family and we'd been having some drinks, and I decided at like 1 a.m. to do my gratitudes, and I'd had copious amounts of gin. And I think I put something like, "I'm so thankful for my heavenly fresh head," which obviously in my drunken state, I'd thought I was hilarious and I meant that I don't have a hangover the next day. It worked, I didn't. My brother, on the other hand, had the hangover from hell, but it just made me laugh so much. And then she did the same on New Year, so we just had a complete laugh about it. And it's something that's nice to actually do with your friends. So if I go on trips with my friends, we'll kind of have, like my friend Lauren specifically, if we go on a trip, we'll have like our coffee and our gratitude mornings. So every morning wherever we are, we'll go and sit outside and we'll get a coffee and we'll just write our gratitudes and be together, not even speaking, but just writing those gratitudes. And it honestly changes your life and changes everything. It's one of the biggest things I think that's changed my mindset. The second thing is I like to get some form of exercise, which I can hear your eye rolls. I can see them through the microphone, but exercise is so important to mental health. And I found when I started getting into the gym at the beginning of 2022, I really went for my hatred of my body. I went because I wanted to look better and I wanted to just lose weight. And over the year, I've noticed my mindset has completely changed. And the days where I go to the gym and I do a workout or even just go for a walk, I feel so much more mental clarity. And I now do these things because of how it makes me feel rather than kind of aesthetic reasons, which I guess, I mean, we all do it for aesthetics. I still want to look really good. I still want to feel really good. But I overall do it because it's part of my routine. Like I said, I'm a sucker for the routine. And I also just find so much comfort and joy in feeling like I'm getting stronger and moving my body, and it helps my mind throughout the day because I just feel like I get some sort of clarity. And it's really hard to explain, but I think anyone who works out often, like going for runs or whatever it is, you understand what I mean about those kind of endorphins and stuff that you get after exercise that are just unmatched by anything else. The third thing is trying to eat healthily, and this is a big one because I recently have been doing a lot of research into your gut-brain axis and how they intertwine. And if you want an episode, I'll try and do one. I'm not by any means an expert. I just have been looking into a lot of things. I listened to the podcast episode on Diary of a CEO with Tim. I can't remember his last name, but the nutrition guy who's incredible. He does the book called Spoon-Fed, which is unbelievable. You need to listen to it and read it, whatever I personally audible everything, but if you want to read it, amazing. But your gut is such a vital part of your mental state, which is something that I've noticed in terms of like if I've had a really bad week of eating, or okay, bad we say in a loose way because I never think that food is bad. Food is good always, just you could make healthier choices. But I notice if I've been out for like a pizza with friends and then I've had a McDonald's or something, my mindset and the way my body feels is so vastly different to when I'm eating those whole nutritious foods. And I think that kind of goes with the ultra processed things. Like I can't have dairy. I think I make this very well known because it stresses me out and I don't like it. I wish I could eat a big cheeseburger. I can't. I wish I could have an ice cream. I can't. It's just part of my life I have to deal with this stupid dairy intolerance, which I actually don't think is lactose. This is a whole other story for another day, but I think it's another protein within dairy. It's not lactose because there's a lot of strains. Anyway, we're sidetracking, but basically I've noticed that when I eat unhealthy food, I just feel gross compared to when I'm eating those whole foods and I've got more energy and I feel brighter and more energized. My skin looks better. It just makes you feel a lot better in yourself as well. Like my mental health is at its best when I'm exercising regularly, when I'm eating healthy foods, and I'm just trying to be the best version of myself. I've definitely noticed if I fall down a rabbit hole where I'm eating really badly, even like one thing a day, one meal is like a bit rubbish or whatever, I've noticed my mindset change. So for me, eating healthy is a non-negotiable in my life, and I always try and pick those healthier options, whatever that means to you. Some people still like having cheese on their spaghetti every evening or whatever it is, but as long as you're making those healthier choices, notice how you feel when you do them, and I promise you will start just eating healthy. Like, I've started introducing random superfoods like hemp seeds, and my energy is through the roof. It's so bizarre. We'll do episodes on all these kind of things if you want them. I actually do have a podcast Instagram already if you want to send me any DMs on there. There's also a email address which I'll put onto the show notes, but basically at thegoodvibesclub.podcast. I'll leave it in the show notes, but that is where you can contact me for anything related to this podcast, whether you want to discuss an episode, give me ideas for episodes, etc., or, you know, share some knowledge or whatever. That's a good place to find me. So if you want to talk about these kind of things or recommend, please go ahead. Tip number 5 and thing number 5 that I do every single week without fail is drink a lot of water. Now, this took me training, let me tell you. I used to drink nothing but coffee, she says while sat here with a coffee, but I used to drink so much coffee, it was criminal. And I actually did go decaf in, I think it was November 2020, and I did a whole year where I just had like no caffeine. I didn't even have Diet Coke, nothing. I literally just had decaf cups of tea, decaf coffees, water, and it just changed. It changed a lot for me mentally because I wasn't as stressed out anymore. Go figure, that much caffeine is no good for anyone. But I've noticed that doing that transition, I started to drink a lot more water, and I am an emotional support water bottle kind of gal. I love having a big 2-litre bottle of water. I'll link it in the show notes and stuff, but I have this 2-litre bottle of water that I lug around everywhere. Like, it's become a running joke with my friends that it's like surgically attached to my hand. But this water bottle, physically seeing how much is in it really helps me to drink more. So I try and have 4 litres a day. You might only be able to do 1 or 2. That's fine. I used to only have 1 or 2. I built myself up. And now drinking that much water is so second nature. I don't even think about it. Like, I do get a bit stressed if I haven't really had water in a day, because I'm like, I feel groggy, like I feel dehydrated because my body's used to getting all this water. But it's crazy how much water your body actually needs. And I mean, I probably do drown it slightly, but I love getting about 4 litres in a day, and my skin looks really clear. My body feels really great. I do wee about 700 times a day, and it's become a bit of a pain in the bum, but I would rather be sitting on that toilet every 20 minutes having a wee than feel dehydrated and gross. Because drinking water improves your brain function, it improves your skin, it improves your mindset, it helps your gut. There's so many benefits. It's mental if you look into it. And then the last thing that I do every day that helps me to live my best life is focusing on the little things. So I actually have, I think I saw it on an influencer's page. I can't remember who it was. But I basically do this thing on my notes now where I write a list. And it's things that made me smile this year. So every month I write down I can't remember who I saw it on. I saw this on someone's profile and they'd read it in a book and they shared a screenshot of the book, and I can't think who it was. But basically on your notes on your phone, you write things that made me smile in 2023. And every month you like header it, and then you put the dates. So for example, today is I don't even know what day it is. I think it's like the 27th of January. But you basically would put like the 27th, and then you'd put something that made you smile that day. And the more you do it, the more you notice that you want to do it. So I will put the most crazy things. So it could be like, I went out for dinner with James a couple of weeks ago, and we'd parked in a really tight space, and he has one of those cars where the seats are kind of like buckets and you fall into them and the doors are really long. It's a bit annoying, to be completely honest, but he is a very tall human being. He's 6'7", and he was trying to get back in the car, and the car next to us are parked really close. He basically catapulted himself into the seat, but couldn't physically get his legs under the steering wheel, and I was crying. Like, I had tears, I couldn't breathe. It was so funny. So little things like that are on this list that I would completely have forgotten about had I not have put them down. And I've also got things on there like, I don't know, going for a pizza date with my friends, or one of my friends came over recently and we watched The Hills, which we used to watch as teenagers and know every word. Like, things like that just make me smile, but also down to things like a beautiful sunrise or getting in the car and it warmed up really quickly. Like, little things in your day that make you smile. And then when you're having a bad day, you can go back and look at that list and be like, oh my God, look how many things I can be grateful for. Like, look how much of my life is amazing. It kind of leads into that like lucky girl syndrome of like, oh, look how lucky I am. Amazing things happen, which is what we're going to go into on the next episode. But focusing on those small things, likewise with writing the gratitude list, you just notice more things happening, and you have to be thankful for what you have to get more of what you want. And I think that's a really important way to look at your life. Like, you have to be thankful for what you have. Your brain only knows the present. It doesn't know past. It doesn't know future. It doesn't understand a thought from a reality. So if you're constantly sitting there thinking, oh, my life is hell, everything's going wrong, I hate my job, blah, 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 your brain is gonna, and the universe are gonna just give you more of those things to moan about. So the more you are happy and excited about your life, and the more you notice those little things, the more that you're going to get things to be thankful for. We're going to talk a lot about this on every episode. But essentially that is kind of the roundabout way that I keep my everyday life ticking over very nicely, attempting to keep some sort of routine, because these are things that I can keep no matter where I am in the world or no matter what I'm doing. I can try and stick to most of these. The exercise one kind of falters every now and then because inevitably life happens. But I try and stick to these as much as possible, and they typically give me quite a good day. But we've reached the end of the episode, guys. I can't believe I've been talking for this long, and I can't actually believe that I sat here at the beginning being like, ugh, I'm so nervous. I don't know how I'm going to talk, and I don't know what to say. And I've literally just chewed your ear off for the best part of like 30 minutes. But every episode, we're going to end with another good vibe segment. So we're going to start the episodes with our good vibe of the week. I might also introduce a word of the week. I don't know what it's going to be this week, so we're not going to do it. I guess introductions, new beginnings. Maybe we'll go with new beginnings. That sounds like a good place to start. But we're going to finish each episode with a good vibe segment, and I'm going to give you a task to go away with and to try and input some good vibes into your week. So sometimes it might be journal prompts, sometimes it might be something to do in your life, sometimes it will be like a thought to go away with. But today, as I've been sharing my good vibes and what I do every day, I want you to head over to the podcast Instagram, which is at thegoodvibesclub.podcast, and share with me 3 good vibes from your week so far. So 3 things that have happened to you this week, or that you've noticed, or whatever it is, and share with me 3 things that have happened that have made your week and that have given you good vibes. So mine for this week would be, I started my podcast, which is something I've wanted to do for ages. I have friends coming over tonight, which is the first time we've hung out with me and 2 of my best friends that I've known since I was like 14. Tash and Amelia, you'll probably hear a lot about them on this podcast, but they're coming over, so we're going to have a nice little girls' night in, which is lovely. And I've also loved the weather recently. That sounds like such an old person British thing to say, but seeing the season, there's something about winter and the sunrises that I love, and the mornings. Like this week, we've been blessed with the most beautiful sunrises and sunsets, and I'm quite lucky to live in a flat, and I'm kind of high up, so I can see over all the trees, and it's just beautiful because I can see the sun come up, and it's stunning every single day. And then as the sun's going down again, you can just see the beautiful colours in the sky, and it's been all rich and gorgeous tones, and it's made my morning every morning just either coming back from the gym or just being like up and seeing through my windows and just enjoying like 2 minutes just stood looking at the sun coming up, and just, oh, I love it so much. You've probably noticed if you've seen my vlogs, I do a lot of sunrise montages at this time of year because they make my soul so happy. But thank you so much for listening to this podcast. I really hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you are as excited as I am to have this journey, and I really can't wait to chat with you again next week. So for now, keep the good vibes flowing, and I'll chat to you next Wednesday. Bye guys.